20 years of Il Collegio Carlo Alberto, a birthday, and a birthday as always needs to be celebrated, especially special birthdays. So what did we do? We sat in our common room in the wonderful palace of Piazza Arbarello, that is actually it's the seat of Il Collegio Carlo Alberto. And we discussed what is the Collegio today and how the Collegio became what it is today. With whom? With Elsa Fornero, with Diego Gambetta, with Alessandra Voena, with Pietro Garibaldi, with Ignacio Monzon, and with Giovanna Nicodano. So, 20 years of Il Collegio Carlo Alberto, a venerable institution, a research center working in the international academic debate with advanced research, advanced education in economics, in the social sciences, and legal subjects. So the Collegio Carlo Alberto started 20 years ago, and we think it was really a success story. And we would like to tell this story. And in order to tell this story, we have a chat among people who had a very important role in founding initially and then running Il Collegio in these 20 years. Some of them at the beginning and others towards the later stages of Il Collegio. Ignacio Monzon was one of the first assistant professors at Il Collegio, and it's an interesting story of how the Collegio has been able to attract researchers from the rest of the world and top researchers from the rest of the world. So Ignacio, tell us your story. Why you came to Il Collegio and what are you doing here? You're still here. You are
yes,
now
exactly.
a professor at the University of Turin. Yeah. What are you doing here? Why you came?
What are you doing? Giorgio is right. At some point, I was young and I decided to
You didn't
come
have
here.
gray hair.
I already had some gray hair.
Some,
yes, but not that much. No, I think that one interesting thing about Collegio is that from scratch it was thought as an international institution. Okay, and the typical example I like to mention about this is we have these positions that are extremely important for us, which is assistant professor positions. These are tenure track positions. These are positions for 7 years, and every year we try to hire the best people from all over the world. So what happens in practical terms? Every year we announce that we are hiring, and then we get more than 500 applications. We look into these applications, we interview 50 of these candidates, then we select from 10 to 15, we fly them to Torino, we talk to them during one day, we let them present their work, and from those, we're extremely happy if we hire one per year. How do we convince these people to come? Well, first, we select well, and second, we provide a job with good working conditions. So we let them do their research, they have nice working conditions, and then they can do their own research. After 7 years, we evaluate what they have done, and if they have done well, we try to keep them in Turin. I think this is an example of what we do here and how Collegio was thought from scratch as an international institution.
But also Collegio does not only attract brains, but also sends out brains in the world, right? And Alessandra Voena is a professor at Stanford University. She is a pupil of Il Collegio and of the University of Turin. How was your track from Turin to Stanford? How did it come? And why the Collegio was instrumental in doing this?
So my mentors were faculty here at the Collegio, and I can think of 3 fundamental roles that an institution like the Collegio can provide to the students of the University of Turin. One would be the role model that these fantastic young faculty that often were coming back from studying abroad or providing the students. The second one is the training, the scientific training, which is fundamental to research and that I was able to find here through my mentors. And finally, the so-called hidden curriculum. So applying to universities abroad requires a lot of knowledge, inside knowledge and information that you cannot really read in a book. And so all those elements came together at the Collegio and made it possible for me and many other students to apply and
well, of course, your story is great. Now many of our students are following up. But when you did it, it was not so obvious, okay? I think there was, at the time, it was necessary to have a little bit of a change in culture in order to achieve this. Pietro Garibaldi, you were the director of the Collegio for a long time. How was it at the time? Because when we are discussing institution building, it's interesting to see how new institution like the Collegio, what the Collegio was in 2004, really can create a new climax, a new atmosphere and really change the directions of, in this case, of research, of studies for younger students, but also of research. What happened then? Well, it was not so obvious at the time.
It was not obvious at all. Of course, you need the chance, you need also some luck, but I think there were three key conditions. First, there was a humus existing field, was not a green field, but was an existing of open-minded view from the existing faculty older than my generation that was actually open to a game-changing challenge. The second condition was a set of young, at the time, 20 years ago, young professor that already lived the part of their academic career in international setting, in the US, in the UK. They decided to return to Italy and establish themselves in Torino. And third, there was the financial opportunity of having like two great founders, the University of Torino and the Compagnia di San Paolo, that basically put the things together. Of course, we need to remember maybe the intellectual leader at the time, Professor Castellino, who was my professor, was also the professor of Elsa Fornero, or her mentor, so he really was probably a key person in that sense. And then when we decided to build this great opportunity, we decided also not only research, applied research and policy-oriented research, but also education. And so the key decision was, okay, if we want to have an education dimension, the Collegio...
But also research at the frontier, no?
Of course, research at the frontier was key, and we attracted
So young
people.
researchers at the Collegio were meant to publish in top journals,
By all means. Also attracting people like Ignacio was clearly, they have people that they had studied in the best university, was in Chicago, I guess, and from Argentina, so it was not obvious to have somebody like Ignacio, but then forming whom? And we decided to invest out of like a large state university like the way we are, the University of Torino has 70,000 students today, to invest in its own undergraduate students, which we thought that the best undergraduate universities are super good, and so we decided to deepen their education with tools in economics and finance and statistics, and bridge them toward the rest of the academic world.
So we created the honor program, right?
The honor program, which today we call it the Allievi program, which is part of the tradition of the Collegio, which was a school in the past. The Collegio was a school, and is still there. And of course, they are exposed to the faculty, but also to the young international faculties, and they get this hidden CV that Alessandra was talking about.
Yes, but Elsa, you lived the Collegio from the beginning. You are one of the mother founders of the Collegio. So at the time, I'm very interested in how you really can draw a new line and a new direction for an institution like this. And when you're founding an institution, and obviously the fact that we really don't know what the institution will be after 20 years. So when you started the Collegio, did you think the Collegio would have become what it is now? And what was necessary to achieve what we have achieved?
No, well, in a way, what we had in mind was to look for a combination of serious and scientifically founded research and policy options, policy measures to suggest, because we participated in the public debate, we saw so many problems in the field of public finance, in the macroeconomy, and we had the people saying, okay, why don't you say something to policymakers?
So you're saying that the Collegio was able to create a strong connection between frontier research and policy making and policy advice.
Yeah, we did. We tried to do, at least. In a way, we had the occasion, and it's not only true that you have the occasion. And the occasion was a very far-sighted person who was chair of a banking foundation and could put money finances.
Yeah, we have to
say,
say,
okay, if you have a project on this, then I will finance. We did, and we looked for quality. It was applied research, but in a way it's true, or at least we believe it's true, we paved the way for what has become later a very, very serious.
But you had here two interesting ingredients, okay? You have, as you said, a banking foundation,
and
okay, which was
university.
acting on private rule, which is...
Yeah.
And then you had a university.
Give you money and give you flexibility and rapidity of decision.
Exactly.
And then you have the academia. And the academia gave you the way, the method to provide serious research on which you may base your policy
Why all this could not
suggestions.
have been done by a university by itself, maybe with some funding from the foundation? What is the key, the reason why an institution like Collegio can exist when
It's exactly the interaction between top research and more applied research. In the Collegium, I see that there is serious theoretical research, serious applied research, and cross-fertilization between the two. Sometimes seminars appear very, very theoretical, but then they give you ideas, perspectives. And as I had later on way to experience, I can say that there is a huge distance between devising some theory to solve a specific problem and having to decide on people's life.
What you're saying is that policy
having responsibility
policy needs to be nested in very good research, and this is very important.
I am absolutely convinced.
But this is not always obvious, no? And maybe at the time it was not so obvious, no, when the Collegio was founded. So.
No, and I think, if I may add, that
Giovanna Nicodano.
there was an important role of the fellows that were the young people who had been studying abroad, that suggested to follow scientific frontier research in an international setting. Why scientific research? Because as Elsa was saying, you need to have theories and data analysis to support your views. Why an international setting? For two reasons. The first one is that the world was changing 20 years ago. Right now we are taking for granted that both studies and working is at least European, if not global. But then there were very few institutions, academic institutions, mostly located in London, that were recognized, or in the UK, that were recognized internationally. And the second thing, so we wanted the Collegio to be international, and it was necessary to have a flexible private institution with well-trained, not only academic, but also staff that was supporting
the staff was fundamental.
And the second thing why you want to be in an international community, network, etc., is because of cross-fertilization, and so and innovation. And especially for policy reasons, you can benchmark your ideas, you can learn from others.
Yeah, but in fact, I mean, many institutions in Europe after that time made that transition. I see institutions in France, in Germany, in Holland, many in Spain, in many other places. No, but at the time it was really hard because what I think is that the public university didn't have the resources and the flexibilities in order to achieve this. And also, I think, as Pietro said, the university had to cater to a mass of, I don't know, whether 50,000 students that were, so that had to be educated. There was an education mission that was very important, that was, not necessarily just focused on the top students and the top researchers.
Let me say that an institution like Collegio is key for the university students that do not belong to the Collegio Allievi programs or masters, to the extent that they form a community with the Allievi in their classrooms, and also they benefit from the faculty being exposed to such international surrounding, being innovative in their programs. Artificial intelligence is embedded in our programs.
Yeah, but I must say, this is a little bit, we start giving it for granted now that this is the case, and this is the case in many other institutions. I think this happened following an evolution of an institutions that really started from a completely different world. And now we can say that we have created these complementarities that keep fostering the activities in the university and the interaction between the university and the Collegio, and also helped the University of Torino to become...
What Giovanna was saying, I think it's important. I think the Collegio acts as a catalyzer. Okay, indirectly, our department of the university, there used to be just one foreign member of the faculty, and now there's 9 of us. And this is, of course, has been, the Collegio has helped a lot to attain
this.
But
now, Ignacio, you are a professor at the University of Torino.
Yeah.
Why you don't just stay there? Why do you still come to the Collegio?
Because I think these are complementary institutions. The Collegio gets way better because of the existence of the University of Turin, and the University of Turin gets way better because of the existence of Collegio. I truly believe that these two institutions have a lot to gain from each other.
Okay, Diego Gambetta, you decided to interact with a community of economists. You are a sociologist. You had your career first in the UK, in Cambridge and Oxford, and then in the European University Institute in Florence. And then one day you decided to come here and form a community of sociologists and political scientists, which was a very risky endeavor, I must say. And why did you do it? And why can you do it here at Il Collegio? And why couldn't you do it in another university in Italy?
The big reason is that the Collegio gave me an opportunity to build something which the social sciences, which are not economics, don't have, which is some strength and coherence in their methodology. For me, the opportunity to be able to give a chance to assistant professor that would not be in Italy to be here and be productive in a robust way, and to join the Allievi program, part of something I value very much. And being born in this city, it was very nice to come back.
And how does it work with multidisciplinary work in the Collegio? Does it work? Does it function? What are the interactions?
Well, like Giovanna reminded me, it was from the top that the Collegio, the founders wanted to introduce some diversity in the Collegio. And this was not easy because you would have to get along with economists. And so this was possible partly because the part of social sciences that I'm interested in uses a very similar methodology. And for a long time, it has used that methodology. The other is that the Collegio is small, and this is something I value very much, because if people who come to Italy are terrified of bureaucracy. In fact, just the word generates terror in the eyes of...
We are very flexible.
The Collegio has a very flexible president.
We have, as you said, we have fantastic staff, and you don't need to apply formally, wait for a reply. So you can just call them up or meet them for lunch or coffee.
Okay.
So the size is important.
So the idea also is that the Collegio has to give back, in the sense that we are lucky because we have institutions in of the city of Turin that gives us a lot of support. The university, which is one of the 2 founding partners of the Collegio, that gives us a lot of human capital. Many of the professors and the academics who work at Il Collegio are professors at the University of Turin, and we create synergies, as Ignacio was saying, because the Collegio gives back in terms of helping the University of Turin in attracting human capital. But at the same time, the Collegio is very generously funded by the Compagnia di San Paolo, that sees, which is a banking foundation, and that sees the Collegio as an important institution for this territory, for this city. And we try to give back not only in the activities that we try to do, like research and education, but also we do a lot of work in dissemination. We organize an international festival of economics, which is a big exercise of dissemination that lasts 4 days with more than 120 people coming to discuss key issues in the economics debate. And we do a lot of work in dissemination. We are great believers in research-based dissemination. We think that a dissemination is worthless unless it's based really on facts.
And even in that case, we attract international scholars.
And we attract international scholars that come here, that visit, that do research with us, and also that do seminars and workshops. So it's a continuous interaction. But it's very important to do dissemination, which is grounded in good research. And in that sense, we really at the Collegio, I think all of you would agree, the Collegio doesn't behave as an ivory tower, but both interacting
and
with the
Elsa is well
community.
known to be an advocate of financial and economic education.
Financial education is very important. So
And we believe it is important not only for individual well-being, but also, let me say, for the working of our democracy.
Absolutely.
Because there is a lot in politics that concerns economic policy. So economic life of people.
But
and
also
they need to understand something. They need to understand why a reform is needed, why taxation is important, why the public debt can be a huge problem, and so and so. So we think this is important to give back to people.
Yeah, exactly. We disseminate and try to, we try to educate, but at least to provide information and facts and analysis that people can understand.
I like the expression social dialogue.
Okay, on the idea that we are an institution that carries out social dialogue, I want to thank you very much for this talk and interaction about the Collegio, and happy birthday, Collegio Carlo Alberto.
Happy birthday, Collegio.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.